The man, the myth, the legend, J. Cole has done it again with yet another accurate prediction about one of our beloved SoundCloud rappers. For those who don't know, everyone keeps talking about J. Cole being right. Every time a rapper who is somewhat controversial within the last decade starts to have a bit of a fall from grace or a loss in popularity, lacking in sales or lacking in numbers or support in any regard, in any capacity, it is then attributed to J. Cole was right. And I want to speak quickly on J. Cole's behalf. For those who don't know, this video is in reference to a video that is running around the internet of Smokepurpp performing in front of a crowd of maybe 10 to 15 people. Those who don't know, Smokepurpp was pretty big for a little while. He was reasonably sized. The caliber of rapper that you would not expect to be performing in front of a crowd of 10 to 15 people. I'll guarantee you that. But before we address that, let me quickly address J. Cole's point. J. Cole's point is not to derive pleasure out of seeing artists fail and struggle and not be able to make rent, not be able to take care of their families, take care of their priorities. I feel there's a strange group of people who look at the content that J. Cole spoke about on 1985 and they get some weird sense of pleasure out of the fact that these rappers are unable to infest or infect rap anymore, because they still view rap as this old school, do it for the culture, do it for the love of the game type of activity, as opposed to viewing it as just what it is, a business. And when business is shaky, numbers don't look right, obligations can't be met, and artists start doing things that you wouldn't normally see them do. For example, Lil Pump, while fading from relevancy, wanted so badly to generate some form of attention, hoping that it would translate into better sales for his music or more attention for his career, endorsed Donald Trump. Now, his political opinions are his political opinions. I can't get on him for that. But knowing what Lil Pump has been about throughout his entire career and knowing how little he's involved himself in the political realm in any capacity, you can see how desperate of a move or desperate of an attempt this is to remain relevant. So I don't get any pleasure out of seeing someone basically whore themselves out for a check, possibly, with no promise of longevity or security in the future. J. Cole's intent with this song is a very preventative measure. It is not something that should be looked at as let's just say J. Cole was right. Oh my God, this is so funny. This is hilarious. This is actually terrible. This is bad. And J. Cole, even as we listen to the song 1985, sounds a bit remorseful, knowing that the future is inevitable for a lot of the people that he was referring to on that song. Another interesting thought that I had was how no one shits on Cordae for basically going against the narrative of 1985 with a response song and ultimately suffering the same fate as Smokepurpp. Maybe not performing in front of a crowd of 10 people and being able to hide behind the veil of a Grammy nomination, but still significantly fewer sales from one project to the next. And no one says that Cordae had a fall from grace. No one says that the 1985 effect applies to Cordae. Why? Because Cordae makes music that appeals to a very safe demographic for the most part. And so if Cordae ends up having a fall from grace, I'm sure it'd be looked at as a bit of a tragedy, or that's so sad, or we should support him more and listen to his music more. Despite the fact that Cordae makes music that is just about as interesting as Smokepurpp, in my opinion, these days. And by interesting, I mean bland and generic. There are plenty of rappers outside of the SoundCloud era that have sold significantly less in the time period when J. Cole made that song up until now, and no one says that they had a fall from grace. I feel majority of this argument is wrapped up in the optics, the perception of certain artists, and the biases that you have towards certain music and certain styles of expression that they have. If they're a lyrical, miracle, spiritual, they're looked at as more favorable, and they'll probably have some form of longevity to their career. If they don't have any substance, and they're looked at as mumble, and they probably won't last long, and you're happy if they don't. You can infer or probably assume that I'm like on Smokepurpp's side or defending everything that he did within his career the way I'm speaking about him right now. But I guess the reason I'm a bit more defensive about the position is seeing how many people attributed this reality to J. Cole's prediction. I'm trying to figure out what Smokepurpp did that was so negative in his career that we could so strongly apply the ideas of 1985 to him specifically. And the biggest controversy that I remember Smokepurpp being involved in was his fight with Russ's goons. I'm of the belief that attention doesn't equal retention. So just because you can generate hype because you can generate an audience, that doesn't mean that you are able to maintain it. And I don't think that that means that Smokepurpp is this trash artist. I've never actually thought Smokepurpp was an awful artist. If you want to know my genuine opinion of Smokepurpp, I've always thought that he was a taller, more tolerable version of Lil Pump. And I don't think the ideas in 1985 apply to him as strongly as they do Lil Pump. I just think people want to apply it to every person that at some point starts to have a bit of a downhill slope. But I feel like Smokepurpp has been making music about as consistently as he's been making music. It's one thing if you don't like it, but I just think the way these people market their music is just trash. Longevity, I don't think, comes as much from the music as much as it does from the personality. These rappers have done shit jobs marketing themselves as people, so there's no reason to support them outside of the music. When you listen to J. Cole, you hear ideas within his music, so obviously you have a bit of a stance to support outside of, oh, you know, if he makes a bad song, his career isn't over, because I still feel like I can identify with his ideas to an extent. That's the only place that these artists go wrong. But if it's because you think, oh, they spent too much money or because they're riding trends, well, yes, nigga, people do that. Like, people make music during the time period that they are influenced by. If you grew up in Atlanta from 03 to maybe 05 to 06, guess what? You probably made trap music. When J. Cole first came out, his entire Born Sinner project sounded like a compilation of other niggas. And that isn't to shit on J. Cole, but that's just to say that no one is free from riding a trend. Few people who go on these trends are able to break free of it or put themselves above it to a point where they're able to create something new from it. That is a 1 in a million artist, generally. The harsh reality of 1985 is that even if you follow the advice that J. Cole is giving you, you still have a 1 in a million% chance of making it to the level of a J. Cole. That is the harsh reality of 1985. Not that more rappers are gonna fall off. It's that 99% of you will. And the 1% that is giving you this advice is so far from you that it's not even funny. So I just think that the ideas in 1985 have been so easily misinterpreted to so strongly apply to one person or two persons, one of which it barely applies to at all, that people apply this ideology to what they don't like as opposed to applying it to the landscape in general, in totality. From what I know, Purpp has never involved himself in any major controversies that would distract people from his music. His music to me has never been offensively bad. Has it been generic? Sure. Was there some evolution or some great need for it? No. But his career to me is just more of a result of bad business and bad marketing more than it is, oh, he rode the trend for too long, he dissed J. Cole too many times, oh, it backfired on him. I don't think that's what this is. He's still incredibly young, and it's normal for people who make this type of music to have a very short shelf life. If you look at the SoundCloud era in its entirety, how many artists have even come out of that scene successful to a point where you could say that they're taking care of themselves, they're more well off than the average everyday person? How many? Anyway, y'all can feel free to jump in the comments and let me know how you feel about it. I don't want to go on about this all day, but you get what I'm saying.